my name is Mishka and welcome back to my channel. As some of you may know, I previously made a video on the eligibility application last year based on the 2022 UKFP guidance. This year, the UKFP has made some significant changes to the eligibility process, so I'd like to shed some light on the new guidance that they've released. The guidance I will be talking about today will be for the application process for the UKFP in 2023. You can find the link to the eligibility applicant guidance in the description below, along with their high-level timeline. In this video, I'll be doing my best to summarize the main key points and changes that they've made in this year's application process, but I would still advise that you would read the documents yourself, as all of the information that you will need to go through the process is in there. If you've seen my other video on the eligibility application, you should know by now that these kinds of videos can get very technical. So please bear with me as I do my best to explain each of the requirements. So let's get started. First of all, what is the eligibility application? The eligibility application is a process that is done before you apply to the 2-year foundation program. The application is filled out on ORIEL, which is the National Application Portal for Medical Training in the UK. You must create an ORIEL account and upload all of the necessary documents to this portal. Once the UKFP deems that you are eligible to apply to their program, you will then be able to complete an application form to the UK Foundation Program and start as an FY1 in August of 2023. This year's eligibility application window is open from July 9, 2022 at 9 AM to July 29, 2022 at 12 noon British Summer Time. With the UK Foundation Program, not everyone needs to fill out an eligibility application. Your next question might be, who needs to submit this application? So according to the 2023 guidance, you will need to submit an eligibility application if, number 1, you are studying or have graduated from a non-UK medical school. Number 2, you have graduated from a UK medical school, but it was on or before August 2, 2021. Number 3, you are a non-UK/settled national studying for a UK medical degree at a campus outside of the UK. Examples of this are University of Nicosia in Cyprus or Newcastle University Medicine in Malaysia. And number 4 is one of the above applies to you, but you applied in a previous recruitment cycle, but your application was either unsuccessful or you withdrew for any particular reason. What they're basically saying with that previous statement is that eligibility applications do not carry forward from year to year, and you have to reapply with the appropriate recruitment year. So now we've answered the question as to who needs to apply for the eligibility application. Now the next question is, who are the people who do not need to apply for the eligibility application? So according to the 2023 guidance, you do not need to apply for an eligibility application if, number 1, you are a UK medical student expected to graduate by the 3rd of August in 2023. Number 2, you graduated from a UK medical school on or after the 3rd of August in 2021. And number 3, you are a UK or settled national studying for a UK medical degree outside of the UK. So now that we've clarified who do and do not need to apply for the eligibility application, let's move on to the documents that you will need. Now this section of the video is a lot similar to the last video I did on the eligibility application, but there's definitely a few things that the UKFP have clarified in this guidance that they didn't clarify in the last one. Now we can move on to the documents that you'll need to make an eligibility application. So first and foremost is the proof of ID. So this proof of ID should preferably be a passport, as all applicants will need a valid passport in order to apply to the UK Foundation Program. In this section, they might also ask you for a passport photo to upload to ORIEL. If you need any further details on that, you can find an example of it on the eligibility application guidance. Next up, you have the Dean Statement. The Dean Statement is basically where your Dean will confirm your decile ranking and if your degree meets the UKFP's English language standards. Now this may be used in lieu of an IELTS, but more details on that later. You can find a sample of the document in the description below. And it's really important that you remember to use the Dean Statement meant for this year and not the ones from previous years, as they will not be accepted. Next up, you have your medical degree or a letter as proof of qualification. In this section, you will need to upload your medical degree. But if this hasn't been issued yet, you will then need to upload a confirmation of qualification. This is basically a letter from your school declaring that you have qualified to graduate but you are yet to receive your certificate. You can find a sample of this letter on the page 13 of the Eligibility Handbook. Next, we have English language evidence. In this section, you might be asked to provide an IELTS or an OET certificate. If you decided to take IELTS, you need a score of 7.5 minimum in each domain. Whereas if you took the OET, you need a minimum score of 400 in each domain. As I mentioned earlier, it is possible to use your Dean statement as evidence of English language proficiency, meaning you might not need to take IELTS or OET for this section. However, this is a little tricky to accomplish because your school needs to have been in a country whose first language is English to be able to use your Dean statement as evidence. I do advise if you're coming from countries whose first language isn't English that you upload an IELTS or OET certificate. The next thing you'll need to upload are your GMC requirements for a provisional registration. In order to apply for the 2-year foundation program, you need to be eligible for a provisional registration with the GMC. One of the requirements for provisional registration is that you must not have done an internship after graduating medical school, because this will make you qualify for a full registration, automatically disqualifying you from applying for provisional registration. Under this section, you will also need to upload evidence of taking the PLAB, or at the very least, your plans on taking the PLAB. Now, in this year's guidance, the UKFP gives specific deadlines on when you should take your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. You must take your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2 exams within the deadline specified by the UKFP for this application cycle. According to the guidance for 2023, the latest date that you can take your PLAB 1 exam is November 3, 2022. This is to allow sufficient time for you to take your PLAB 2 exam. This means that you have to set up your GMC online account by 24th of August 2022 and uploaded your English language evidence by then. You then have to book your PLAB 1 exam by August 31, 2022 and submit evidence of this to the email that they provided in the guidance. And you can find this on page 16. They also specify that all PLAB 2 booking requests must be made by the 31st of March in 2023. You must also send your PLAB 2 booking confirmation by the 6th of April in 2023. It's very important that you keep these dates in mind because if you do not pass your PLAB 1 or your PLAB 2 by the deadline specified by the UKFP, they will automatically withdraw your application and you will not be able to enter into the UKFP in 2023. If you're finding remembering these dates very difficult, the UKFP has very kindly made a high-level timeline which you can find on page 17 of the guidance. The next part of the application is the clinical assessment. Before I go into further detail, not everyone has to take the clinical assessment. Those who need to take the clinical assessment are those who have graduated from medical school before 2nd of August in 2021. So the clinical assessment is an examination used to determine your fitness to start in the UK Foundation program. According to the guidance, it will be held in the Manchester University NHS Foundation Trust, and this will consist of 12 stations and should take up to 4 hours. So the clinical assessment will be held on November 8, 9, and 10, but you only need to attend one of these dates. So there is a cost for the clinical assessment, and according to the guidance, it's £850 British. They also provide a deadline for the payment of this fee, which is the 26th of August in 2022. It should also be noted that this fee is non-refundable. The clinical assessment is a requirement for UKFP, and if you've been asked to take it, unfortunately, no other alternative assessments will be considered. If you want further details on the clinical assessment, I do suggest that you read the handbook. And last but not the least is right to work. So the good news is that evidence of right to work is not needed at the point of application. Evidence of this can be provided once you've been allocated a slot in the UKFP. This then will give you some time to apply for a work visa before UKFP starts. This means that you can still apply to the UK Foundation program without right to work, but you will need a certificate of sponsorship once a post has been allocated. The guidance also states that all medical specialties have been placed on the shortage occupation list, so certificates of sponsorship can be arranged after allocation. So if you are a UK national, you can provide right to work evidence by providing your passport. And if you are a non-UK or non-settled worker, then you will need to provide evidence of right to work that will cover the duration of your training program. You can find more details of this in the handbook. It is also important to note that these rules are subject to change based on the rules and laws stated by the Home Office. So to summarize, the UKFP is very strict with deadlines and they will not accept late submissions. Also, I've said this before and I will say it again, is to read the guidance yourself. The UKFP application process is very technical and the information we've gone over is just a very short summary. In the guidance, they go over more details which may apply to your situation specifically. So it's good to check if these apply to you while you make your application. I also just want to highlight again that they've mentioned a lot of deadlines with regard to the PLAB exam this year, as well as GMC registration, so I just want everyone to note those dates properly. The application to the UK Foundation program can be a bit tricky. but reading the guidance and familiarizing yourself with the deadlines and requirements can make the process so much smoother. I would advise setting reminders to make sure that you keep on top of these deadlines and to double check that you have all of your documents ready. I also advise that you map out your own timeline on when you need documents to be ready. This will make it much easier for you to see which necessary documents need to be submitted by when. To be honest, the most complicated part of applying to the foundation program really is the eligibility application. The eligibility application requires a lot of pre-planning in order to meet the deadlines. Whereas for the main application for the foundation program, it just asks you to sit for the SJT and to rank your preferences and submit a few more documents. So if you've done the eligibility application and you've done your timeline, then you're halfway there. If you have any questions about the application, please don't hesitate to message me on my Instagram handle @mishkamos. My sister Steffi has also volunteered to help answering your questions, as she's also recently applied to the foundation program. She'll soon be working as an FY2. Her Instagram handle is Steffi Moss, which you can find at the bottom of the screen here. She is so familiar with the timeline that she actually helped me write the script. Thank you, ate. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I know that this has long been overdue, and even though I've been very busy with training, I really wanted to do an update on the eligibility guidance to help those who might still be feeling confused. You can find most of the important links to the documents I've mentioned in the description below, so be sure to check those out. So please like this video because we love to be liked, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos to help you on your journey to being a doctor here in the UK. Best of luck on your applications, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!